The station called Lumen Drift floated between three stars, slow and careful like a thought that did not want to be forgotten. From far away it looked calm, almost asleep, but inside it was full of sound, light, and quiet movement. Hundreds of species lived and worked there, each one trying to understand the others without starting trouble. It was known across the spiral arms as a place where mistakes were allowed, but cruelty was not. Mara Ellison walked through the wide central corridor with her hands behind her back, her boots making a soft rhythm on the smooth floor. She was human, which still made her unusual in this part of space. Humans were new to the wider galaxy, and most people still did not know what to expect from them. Some thought humans were weak because they were not the strongest or fastest. Others thought humans were dangerous because they adapted too fast. Mara did not think about any of that as she walked. She was focused on the small device in her pocket, a thin metal band no bigger than her finger. It was warm, almost alive, and she could feel a gentle pulse from it, like a slow heartbeat. She had found it 3 days ago while working in the old cargo ring, a part of the station that few people visited anymore. It had been hidden inside a broken crate with markings from a long-dead civilization. No alarms had gone off when she picked it up. No warnings appeared on her scanner. It was as if the object wanted to be found. Now she was on her way to the Cultural Exchange Hall, where representatives from many species met to share ideas, art, and technology. Mara was not an official delegate. She was an engineer, hired to fix systems that no one else wanted to touch. But she had requested a private testing room, and to her surprise, the station council had agreed. Inside the hall, light shifted colors softly, adjusting to the eyes of whoever entered. Long benches curved around open spaces where people spoke in calm voices. Floating displays showed star maps, music patterns, and written symbols that translated themselves as you watched. Mara entered a small side room and closed the door behind her. The walls turned a gentle blue, a sign that the room was sealed and private. She took a deep breath and removed the metal band from her pocket, placing it on the table. The band unfolded on its own, opening like a flower made of silver lines. A soft sound filled the room, not a voice but something close to one. The air felt thicker, warmer. Across the room, the light gathered into a shape. It was tall, graceful, and not fully solid. The form looked almost human but not quite. Its eyes were too deep, like windows into a wide sky. "You are human," the being said, its words clear but gentle. "And you can feel me." Mara swallowed. "Yes," she said. "I don't know how, but I can." The being tilted its head. "That should not be possible." This interface was designed to be unreadable, untouchable. Mara smiled a little, nervous but curious. "Humans do that sometimes. We feel things we're not supposed to." The being seemed to consider this. "We are the Kepri Echo," it said, "or what remains of us. We do not exist in the way others do. We observe, we remember." Mara leaned closer to the table. "Why were you in that crate?" "Because we were afraid," the Echo replied. "Long ago we tried to share ourselves with the galaxy, but no one could hear us. They saw our tools as broken, our presence as empty, so we hid what we were, hoping someone would one day notice." Mara felt a strange pressure in her chest, not painful, just heavy. "And now you have noticed," the Echo said, "and you can feel every layer of our signal. Your mind does not reject it, it holds it. That makes you different." Before Mara could answer, the room lights shifted again. The door opened and two figures stepped inside without making a sound. They were not human. Their skin was pale gold, smooth and faintly glowing. Their eyes were wide and dark, filled with intelligence and sharp curiosity. They looked almost identical, except one wore a thin band of blue light around her wrist and the other wore green. "Mara Ellison," the one with the blue band said, "you are using restricted space." Mara turned slowly. "I requested this room." "You requested a testing room," the other said, "not a first contact environment." The Echo's shape flickered slightly. The air grew warmer again. The two newcomers exchanged a look. "You brought something alive in here," the blue-banded one said. "Something old." Mara straightened her shoulders. "It's not dangerous. It's just been alone for a very long time." The one with the green band studied Mara more closely. "You are calm," she said. "Most species panic when they realize they are not alone with their thoughts." Mara shrugged. "Humans panic later." That seemed to surprise them. The blue-banded one let out a soft sound that might have been laughter. "I am Sale. This is Eerie," she said. "We are observers for the station council. Some call us sisters, but that is a human word." "Step-sisters," Eerie added, tilting her head. "By law, not by origin." Mara nodded, filing that away. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." Sale waved a hand. "You already have. But it is interesting trouble." The echo spoke again, its voice stronger now. "They can hear us," it said, "through her." Sale's eyes widened slightly. "That is not possible." Mara felt the pulse from the band grow steadier. "I don't hear them like sound," she explained. "It's more like pressure, like standing near something solid. I just know where it is." Eerie stepped closer, curiosity winning over caution. "You can feel its structure." "Yes," Mara said. "Every layer, it's firm, stable, like it knows exactly what it is." The room went quiet. Sale and Eerie exchanged another look, longer this time. "The Kepri echo vanished before our species learned space travel," Sale said slowly. "They were said to be myths, or failures." The echo's shape brightened. "We were neither," it said. "We waited." Mara crossed her arms. "So what happens now?" Eerie looked at her. "Now the station council will want answers. They will want control." "And?" Mara asked. "And humans are very good at changing outcomes," Sale said. "That reputation has reached even here." Mara smiled, a real smile this time. "We're also good at listening." The echo's presence settled, calmer now, as if relieved. "Then perhaps," it said, "this is not the end of our hiding but the beginning of our return." Outside the room, the station continued to drift between the stars, unaware that something long silent had finally found a voice through a human who could feel what others could not. And this was only the first step. The council chamber of Lumen Drift was quiet in a way that felt heavy, like the air itself was listening. The walls curved upward and disappeared into soft light, making it hard to tell how large the room truly was. Seats floated at different heights, each shaped for the species that used it. Some were filled with mist, others with liquid, and a few were solid platforms like the one Mara stood on. She did not like standing alone in the center, but she kept her posture steady. Humans had learned long ago that fear showed faster than confidence, and the galaxy noticed both. Behind her, the small metal band rested on a low table. It was closed now, calm and silent, but she could still feel it. The presence was steady, like a quiet hand resting near her thoughts. Sale and Eerie stood to one side, their pale gold skin catching the light. They had argued on her behalf just enough to keep things civil, but the council had insisted on seeing everything for themselves. A voice echoed through the chamber, layered and calm. "Human Mara Ellison, you have activated an artifact classified as dormant and unknown. You claim it contains a living echo of an extinct species." Mara nodded. "Yes, not living in the usual way, but aware. It remembers itself." Another voice followed, slower and deeper. "And you claim you can sense it without a translator or interface." "I can," Mara said. "I don't know why, I just can." Soft movements passed through the council seats. Some members shifted colors. Others changed the temperature around them. Curiosity was rising, mixed with concern. Sale stepped forward. "We have verified her readings. The artifact responds only when she is near it. When others try, it remains inactive." "That is unacceptable," one council member said. Its shape flickered like folded glass. "No single individual should be the sole access point to a pre-expansion intelligence." Mara took a breath. "I'm not trying to control it. I'm just listening." The band on the table warmed slightly. She felt a gentle push, not words, but intention, permission. It wants to speak, Mara said. The chamber grew still. Proceed, the council voice said, but remain contained. Mara placed her hand near the band, not touching it. The metal unfolded, smooth and slow. Light gathered again, forming the familiar tall shape. The Khepri echo filled the space without pushing against it, careful and precise. "We greet you," the echo said, "not as subjects but as witnesses." A ripple moved through the council. Several members leaned forward. "We are the Khepri echo," it continued. "We are not a weapon, we are not a machine, we are memory shaped into form." One council member spoke sharply. "Why hide yourselves for so long?" "Because we were not understood," the echo replied. "We existed between states. Not fully physical, not fully thought. Others measured value by force or output. We offered neither." Mara felt a quiet sadness flow through her, not her own. The echo was not projecting emotion directly. It was simply being itself, and she was close enough to notice. "You waited for a human," another council voice said. "Why?" The echo turned slightly toward Mara. "Because humans listen differently. You do not demand certainty before belief. You accept contradiction." Mara flushed, unsure how to respond. Sale glanced at her, eyes bright. Eerie watched the echo with careful interest, as if memorizing every movement. "What do you want now?" the council asked. The echo paused. "To return, not as rulers, not as teachers, but as participants. To share memory so that mistakes are not repeated." A long silence followed. One council member shifted closer. "Memory is power." "Yes," the echo said, "but forgetting is danger." Mara finally spoke again. "They're not asking for control, they're asking for space, like refugees but of time instead of place." That phrasing seemed to settle something. Several council members relaxed their forms. "Human Mara Ellison," the council voice said, "your involvement places you at risk of influence." Mara nodded. "I know, but I don't feel changed, just connected." Eerie stepped forward. "We have observed humans for many cycles," she said. "They form bonds quickly, but they do not erase themselves to do so. That balance is rare." Sale added, "If anyone can act as a bridge without breaking, it is likely her." The council considered this. At last, the central voice spoke again. "We will not confiscate the artifact at this time, but conditions will apply." Mara let out a breath she did not realize she had been holding. "You will remain on Lumen Drift," the voice continued. "You will document all interactions. And you will accept oversight." "That's fair," Mara said quickly. The echo folded its light slightly inward. "We accept observation," it said. "We have learned patience." The band closed, the presence easing but not leaving. The meeting ended without ceremony. Council members drifted away, already sharing thoughts across private channels. Later, in a quiet corridor far from the public halls, Mara leaned against the wall and laughed softly, more from release than humor. "I thought they were going to lock me in a lab," she said. Sale smiled faintly. "They still might, just not today." Eerie studied Mara carefully. "You are not afraid of what you carry." Mara thought about that. "I'm afraid of messing it up," she admitted, "but not of it." They walked together toward the observation wing, where a new room was being prepared. It was larger than the testing space, with adjustable walls and open light. A place meant for presence, not containment. As they entered, the echo unfolded again, its form clearer than before. It seemed more solid now, edges sharper, light more confident. "You feel stronger," Mara said quietly. "We feel acknowledged," the echo replied. "That changes structure." Eerie tilted her head. "Your form is adapting." "Yes," the echo said. "We respond to attention. When we were ignored, we thinned. Now we can hold." Mara sat on the floor, legs crossed, ignoring the strange looks from passing technicians. "You know," she said, "humans used to think attention was just observation. We learned the hard way that it shapes things." The echo considered that. "Then we have much to learn from each other." Hours passed as they talked, not always with words. Sometimes Mara simply sat nearby while the echo shifted patterns of light and memory. She felt images brush past her awareness. Old cities built around stars, songs encoded in mathematics, long quiet years of waiting. She did not see everything, just enough to understand the weight of it. Sale and Erie returned often, bringing questions, recording data, but also simply watching. The echo did not hide anymore. At one point, Erie spoke softly. If the council decides to expand this contact, others will come. Not all will be kind. Mara nodded. I know. Are you prepared for that? Sale asked. Mara looked at the echo, then back at them. I don't think anyone ever really is, but humans are good at standing between things. We've had practice. The echo brightened slightly. That is why we trusted you. Outside the observation wing, word spread quickly. A forgotten intelligence had returned. Not with ships or demands, but with memory and quiet strength. And at the center of it was a human engineer who could feel what others could not. Lumen Drift continued to orbit its stars, but its future had shifted. Not loudly, not violently, just enough to matter. And somewhere deep within the station systems, long unused channels began to wake, ready to carry voices that had waited far too long to be heard. The change did not arrive with alarms or flashing lights. It came quietly, like a system waking from sleep. Mara noticed it first when she woke in her small quarters and felt the echo before she opened her eyes. Not louder, not stronger, just closer, as if the space between them had grown thinner overnight. She sat up slowly and placed her feet on the floor. The station lights adjusted to her movement, soft and pale. For a moment she simply breathed and listened to the hum of Lumen Drift. It sounded the same as always, but she knew better now. Things could be the same on the surface and completely different underneath. When she arrived at the observation wing, she found Sale already there, standing still with her hands behind her back. Her expression was calm, but her eyes followed patterns in the air that Mara could not see. You feel it too, Mara said. Sale nodded once. The station's long-range sensors recorded a shift in inactive channels last night. No external contact, no energy spike, just alignment. The echo was already present, its form steady and clear. It did not glow brighter than before, but it held its shape with less effort, like someone standing without leaning. You are anchoring, Mara said quietly. Yes, the echo replied. Not to you alone, to the idea of being known. Mara walked closer and sat on the low bench near the center of the room. That sounds big. It is, the echo said, and also simple. When memory is shared, it stops fading. Sale glanced toward the open doorway. The council is uneasy, she said. They are not used to changes they did not plan. Mara smiled faintly. Neither are humans, we just pretend better. As if summoned by the thought, Erie entered the room, followed by two council technicians. They carried small devices that hovered near their shoulders, recording data silently. We are receiving requests, Erie said. Other stations, research groups, even non-aligned worlds. For what? Mara asked. To observe, Erie replied. To learn, to confirm that this is real. The echo shifted slightly. We expected this. Mara looked up. Are you ready? The echo paused. Readiness is not certainty, but hiding again would undo what has begun. The technicians exchanged looks but said nothing. They activated their devices and soft lines of light scanned the room. The echo did not resist. As the scans continued, Mara felt something new. Not pressure this time, but movement. Like doors opening inside her awareness, slow and careful. Images surfaced without force. A long chain of moments not shown in order. A civilization that built with patience, that stored thoughts the way others stored fuel. A choice long ago to step back rather than be reshaped by louder voices. Her breath caught. Mara, Sale said gently. Your readings just changed. I know, Mara said. They're not pushing, they are offering. The echo spoke softly. You are not required to carry this. I know, Mara said again, but I can. Erie watched her closely. What are you feeling? Perspective, Mara said after a moment. Not answers, just a wider view. That worried the council more than any threat would have. By the next cycle, controlled visits were approved. Delegates arrived in small numbers, each accompanied by observers and rules. No physical contact, no private access, no long exposure. The Echo accepted every condition without complaint. Mara remained present for all sessions, not because it was required but because things worked better when she was there. The Echo's form stayed stable. Visitors reported clearer understanding, less confusion. Some left disappointed. The Echo did not give predictions or hidden weapons. It did not solve disputes. It only shared memory and asked questions in return. Others left changed in quiet ways. They spoke more carefully. They paused before dismissing unfamiliar ideas. One delegate, a thin being made of layered sound, said it best before departing. "You do not speak loudly," it told the Echo, "but you make silence uncomfortable." The Echo accepted that as praise. Not everyone was pleased. A private council session was called, closed to the public. Mara was allowed in only after long debate. She stood once more at the center of the chamber, the familiar weight of attention settling on her shoulders. "You are becoming a point of influence," the council voice said. Without authority, without structure. Mara folded her hands. "I'm not telling anyone what to think." "No," the voice agreed. "You are reminding them that thinking is possible." That earned a few quiet reactions. Sale spoke next. "Suppressing this would cause more instability than allowing it. And if humans begin to believe they are essential," another council member asked. Mara met that without anger. "We don't need to be essential. We just need to show up." Silence followed, long, heavy. Finally, the council decided on expansion, not of control but of access. The Echo would be allowed to create additional anchors, not copies, not fragments, just points of presence where memory could rest without fading. Mara felt the decision before it was spoken. The Echo's awareness widened, careful but hopeful. "You will not be alone," Mara said to it later as they stood in the observation wing. "We were never alone," the Echo replied. "We were just unheard." The first new anchor was placed deep within the station's old network, in a place no one had used for centuries. Mara helped configure it, her hands steady, her mind focused. When it activated, the sensation was gentle, like a second heartbeat joining the first. She staggered slightly and Sale caught her arm. "I'm okay," Mara said, "just adjusting." Eerie frowned. "You cannot keep taking this on yourself." "I'm not," Mara said. "I'm sharing." The Echo's voice carried warmth now. "She is not diminishing, she is redistributing." That phrase spread faster than anything else. Across Lumen Drift, people began to talk differently about humans, not as newcomers, not as risks, but as connectors, as those who could stand in the middle without needing to own it. Mara did not feel heroic. She felt tired and focused and strangely calm. Late one cycle, when the station lights dimmed to night levels, she returned to the observation wing alone. The Echo was quiet, resting across its anchors. "Do you ever regret waiting so long?" Mara asked softly. The Echo considered. "Regret requires belief in a better past. We only believe in better futures." Mara smiled and leaned back against the wall. "That's very human of you." "Then perhaps," the Echo said, "we are learning faster than we expected." Outside the station, distant signals began to change course. Not drawn by force but by curiosity. Something old was speaking again, not with dominance but with presence. And humanity, still young and uncertain, had found itself not at the center of the story, but at the point where many stories finally met. Part 3 ended not with an explosion or a threat, but with a question spreading quietly through the galaxy. What else had been waiting to be heard? The first sign of trouble did not come from outside the station. It came from inside people's thoughts. Mara noticed it during a routine session in the observation wing. 3 visitors were present, each from a different world. They sat quietly, listening as the Echo shared fragments of memory, slow and careful. Everything felt normal at first. Calm. Focused. Then one of the visitors shifted. It was small, its body shaped like a folded ribbon of dark glass. Until that moment, its surface had reflected the light smoothly. Now faint cracks appeared, not physical but emotional. Mara felt a sharp pull in her chest, like someone tugging on a thread she did not know was there. The echo paused mid-pattern. "You are resisting," it said gently. "I am overwhelmed," the visitor replied. "Your memory makes ours feel thin." Mara leaned forward. "You don't have to take everything in," she said. "You can step back." The visitor hesitated, then slowly adjusted its form. The cracks faded. The pressure eased. After the session ended, the visitors left quietly. Sale closed the room and turned to Mara. "That is the third report this week," she said. "Some species are struggling with comparison." Mara frowned. "Comparison?" "They see what the echo preserved," Sale explained, "and they measure themselves against it. Not everyone likes what they find." Eerie joined them, her expression serious. "The council is concerned, not about danger but about imbalance." Mara sighed. "So what do they want to do?" "Limit exposure," Eerie said. "Reduce depth, make the echo quieter." The echo's presence shifted slightly, attentive but not defensive. "That would change what you are," Mara said. "Yes," the echo agreed. "But we will not resist if it prevents harm." Mara turned sharply. "No. You shouldn't have to make yourself smaller because others are uncomfortable." The echo was silent for a moment. Then it said, "This is not about comfort, it is about readiness." That answer stayed with Mara long after the others left. Over the next few cycles, tensions grew. Not openly, not with arguments or threats, but in small decisions, delayed approvals, extra layers of review, requests for summaries instead of direct experience. Mara felt it all like static in the air. One night she could not sleep. She walked the long corridors of Lumen Drift, past observation windows that showed slow-moving stars. The echo was quiet, resting across its anchors, but she could still sense it, steady and patient. "You knew this would happen," she said softly. "Yes," the echo replied. "Change always reveals differences that were hidden." "That's not fair," Mara said. "You're giving something valuable, and people are acting like it's a problem." The echo's response was calm. "Value challenges identity. Not all identities survive challenge easily." Mara stopped walking and leaned against the wall. "Humans went through this too," she said. "When we first started sharing globally, when stories stopped belonging to just one group." "And what did you do?" the echo asked. Mara smiled sadly. "We argued a lot. Then slowly we learned to live with being incomplete." The next council session was tense. This time the chamber was full, more members than usual, observers layered behind observers. Mara stood at the center again, but she felt different now, not smaller, more grounded. "The echo's influence is spreading faster than predicted," the council voice said. "Not through force, but through reflection. Some cultures are destabilizing." Mara raised her hand slightly. "Destabilizing doesn't always mean breaking." "It can," the voice replied. "If unprepared," Sale spoke next. "The echo does not impose memory, it offers it. The response is voluntary." "And yet," another council member said, "the presence of a human anchor complicates neutrality." All eyes turned to Mara. She took a breath. "I'm not special," she said. "I just listen without trying to shape what I hear." "That itself is influence," the council said. Mara nodded. "Then maybe the problem isn't the echo, or me. Maybe it's that the galaxy isn't used to being listened to without conditions." The chamber grew quiet. Eerie stepped forward. "There is another concern," she said. "Some groups are attempting to access echo-derived data without consent, not through direct contact but through indirect resonance." Mara's heart tightened. "Are they succeeding?" "Partially," Eerie said. "They cannot extract memory, but they can detect patterns, enough to misinterpret." The echo spoke. "This is expected. Curiosity seeks shortcuts." "What happens if they misunderstand what you are?" Mara asked. The echo answered honestly. Then they may fear us or idealize us. Both are dangerous. The council withdrew to private deliberation. Mara waited in the antechamber, pacing slowly. Sale stood nearby, silent but present. "You're angry," Sale said at last. "Yeah," Mara admitted, "I am. Because they are cautious. Because they're treating this like a resource problem," Mara said. "Not a relationship." Sale considered that. Councils manage resources better than relationships. After what felt like hours, the council returned. "The echo will remain active," the voice announced. "But expansion will pause. No new anchors. Existing ones will be stabilized and monitored." Mara clenched her fists. "You're freezing growth." "We are preventing fracture," the council replied. The echo accepted the decision without visible change, but Mara felt it. A subtle tightening, like holding breath. Later, back in the observation wing, Mara finally spoke what she had been holding in. "You're shrinking yourself again," she said. "No," the echo replied. "We are concentrating. That's not the same." "It is necessary," the echo said. For now, Mara sat on the floor, arms wrapped around her knees. "I hate this part," she said quietly, "the part where fear slows things down." "Yes," the echo said, "this is where patience is tested." Something shifted then, not in the echo, in Mara. She realized she had been waiting for permission, from the council, from the station, from the galaxy. Humans had a habit of doing that even when they pretended they did not. "I can help," she said slowly, "not by pushing, but by translating." "Translating what?" the echo asked. "Experience," Mara said, "into story, into simple language, something people can approach without feeling measured." Sale, who had been listening quietly, raised an eyebrow. "You want to tell their story," Mara nodded. "Not as history, as moments, as choices." The echo was silent for a long time, then it said, "We were storytellers once, before memory became our shelter." Mara looked up. "Then let me help you tell one again." Permission was not immediate, but it came. Over the next cycles, Mara worked with the echo to shape fragments into narratives. Not complete truths, just windows, small enough to look through without losing yourself. They shared these stories through limited channels, art exchanges, educational forums, quiet broadcasts during off-peak hours. The effect was slow but real. People listened. Not to be changed, but to understand. The pressure eased, not everywhere, not all at once, but enough. One evening, as Mara rested in the observation wing, the echo spoke softly. "You have altered the trajectory." Mara smiled tiredly. "No, I just nudged it." The echo's presence felt warmer. "That is what humans do best." Outside, Lumen Drift continued its endless orbit. Inside, fear did not vanish, but it no longer ruled the conversation. And in the quiet spaces between stars, something important was happening. The galaxy was learning that strength did not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrived as a story told simply by someone willing to stand in the middle and listen. The quiet did not mean the work was finished. It meant the work had changed. Mara learned this on a morning when the station felt unusually still. Not empty, not broken. Just attentive, as if Lumen Drift itself was waiting. She stood in the observation wing, watching the echo rest across its anchors. Its presence was calm, balanced, no longer pulling inward or outward. It simply was. Sale entered quietly and stood beside her. "Reports are stabilizing," she said. "Fewer stress reactions, fewer resistance patterns." Mara nodded. "People understand it better now." "They understand themselves better," Sale replied. "That was the risk." Mara smiled. "That's always the risk." Eerie joined them moments later, carrying a slim data slate. "The council has reached a final position," she said. Mara did not tense this time. She waited. "The pause on expansion will be lifted," Eerie continued. "Slowly, with consent-based access. And with a framework modeled after your story-sharing approach." Mara let out a long breath. "They're trusting people." "They are learning too," Eerie said. The echo's awareness brightened, not in excitement but in recognition. "You have changed how we are seen," it said to Mara. Mara shook her head. I didn't do it alone. No, the echo agreed, but you stood where others would not. Over the following cycles, the galaxy adjusted. New anchors were placed not just on stations but on worlds that asked for them. Each anchor was shaped slightly differently, tuned to the culture that received it. None were copies, all were connected. The echo did not spread itself thin. It grew broader. Mara traveled less now. Others had learned how to listen, how to host, how to step back when needed. She remained important but no longer essential, and that was exactly how she wanted it. One evening, she sat alone near a wide viewing window, watching a slow river of stars drift past. The echo was present but quiet, giving her space. You know, she said softly, humans used to think being central meant being in charge. And now, the echo asked. Now we're starting to see it means being responsible, Mara replied. Those are very different things. The echo considered this. Responsibility without control is difficult. Yeah, Mara said, but it's worth it. A message arrived then, routed through personal channels. It was from a distant world newly contacted, one that had never joined any council. They had received a story, just one. A simple memory fragment shaped gently, offered without demand. They were asking for more, not data, not technology, perspective. Mara forwarded the message to the echo. This is how it continues, the echo said. Not as an event, as a practice. Weeks passed, then months. The Kepri echo became something the galaxy no longer whispered about. It was spoken of openly, calmly, as part of the shared present. And humans gained a reputation that surprised even themselves, not as conquerors, not as saviors, as listeners. As the species that could stand in the middle of unfamiliar things without needing to own them. Mara was invited to speak at gatherings now, but she rarely accepted. When she did, she spoke simply. No grand speeches, no claims. She told people what she had learned. That memory was not a weapon unless you sharpened it. That being seen did not require being exposed. That strength could be firm without being forceful. One day, long after the first council meeting, Mara returned to the old cargo ring where she had found the band. The crate was still there, empty, its markings faded but intact. She ran her hand along its edge. Funny, she said. If I hadn't been bored that day, you would have been curious another, the echo replied gently. This meeting was not fragile. Mara laughed quietly. I guess not. She stood there for a while, feeling the hum of the station through her boots, feeling connected but not overwhelmed. For the first time since all of this began, she felt finished. Not done, finished enough. Later, as she walked back toward the inhabited sections of Lumen Drift, she passed people of dozens of species. Some nodded to her, some smiled, some did not recognize her at all. That was fine. The echo no longer needed a single bridge. It had many now. And somewhere far beyond the station, beyond mapped space, something else stirred. Not in response to fear or power, but to the simple idea that being understood was possible. The galaxy had not become peaceful. It had become patient. And humanity, still young, still imperfect, had found its place not at the top, but at the point where many paths crossed. Not because they were the strongest, but because they were willing to feel what others could not. And listen.